Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I hope everyone's having a good Thursday morning or whatever part of the day it is for you. As kind of introduced, my name is John Fisher. There we go. So I'm the senior applications engineer here at KETIV for design automation team. I'm leading the Tacton CPQ product line. I find CPQ to be an interesting and important aspect in the manufacturing world and one that's often overlooked. I've spent my years, I grew up as a machinist, and then I ran several machine shops, fabrication shops, manufacturing facilities, mainly in the small batch R&D prototype and small batch runs. And then about a decade ago, I started in the application world for machine OEMs, really working my way around and having a great time visiting many manufacturing shops and learning from them. And that kind of drove me to where I'm at now with configurations, pricing, and quoting, which is, in my opinion, very important in what we do in order to make it, whoops, sorry, I think I lost my slide, and making it a little bit better. Because our business is very tough being here in the United States, and we need to be efficient and effective. I know all of you are great at making stuff, but how do you make money with it? So with that, I have a quick question, and that is, who is using a CPQ? I'd like to get a general idea of base knowledge and stuff as we develop this this process. And going forward, we're going to have a series of presentations on CPQs over the next few months into the next year and keep growing on it. So please let me know who is actually using a CPQ at the moment. Great, kind of continuing on here. Let's talk about our it looks like nobody's really using that. Okay, cool. Why a CPQ? First off, let's talk about what problems we're facing during our configuration, pricing, and quoting process. We all know there's problems in here, so let's talk a little bit about them. There are basically 6 major problems that we're going to be facing. And this is primarily on the sales side of the process, but it also drives into being effective in delivery. So first off, let's talk about some lost opportunities, right? And then we're going to talk about our profits and losses. How much are we making? Incompatible configurations. If things don't match up, what happens? I know we've all dealt with crazy price lists, and how do we manage these difficult price lists? Version control. Am I using the correct version of my configuration and pricing and quoting? And finally, how do I deal with reviewing and approving the actual quotes that go out? How do I make that efficient and quick? So let's talk a little bit about our lost opportunities. How does a CPQ help you win business? Well, it's going to quickly configure a quote. It's going to make that quote accurate. It's going to make sure that it is an up-to-date quote, right? And we're easily going to flag non-standard items, those custom features that somebody wants. It can be as simple as a corner radius with an end mill. It could be as complicated as what color an object is to be painted before it leaves. Each type of work has different non-standard items, whether it be, again, hey, I want to go from a 1/8 inch radius to a 3/16 inch radius. How does that affect your process of machining, manufacturing, etc., for like an inside on an end mill? Or hey, instead of painting it blue, we want to paint it orange. How does that affect? Right, so we need to be able to flag these things and go from there. I want you to think about when you purchase something. If we're in this business, we've probably bought machines, tools, or something else of the nature how does the time frame and accuracy of the quote affect who you are purchasing from, right? And then how do you feel when your vendor has to rework an order because of an improper configured quote? I know we've all been this. Confidence in that sales process is only going to drive better business, right? As you and I both know, when it takes a while for that quote to come in, what ends up happening is you start looking around, right? Also, if you get that quote back and you agree on the business, and then they come back and say, well, your configuration, I can't do this, I have to do this, your confidence in that product being delivered on time, on price, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with all the tolerances goes down, right? And you're less likely to get that repeat business if they're not happy up front. So now let's talk about our profits and losses. First off, is the configuration priced correctly, right? I laugh as I say this, but I've seen this over and over and over again where, quite honestly, it's not priced right. And then you're looking at it and have to re-quote it or bring the quote back. But also, we're going to talk a little bit about our costs, our profit margins, or surcharges, discounts for a customer, a quantity, or any deals that we have. Is all this current and accurate? And then what type of business approval needs to come into play with the actual pricing that we have? What's nice with the CPQ products that we offer here is that we can do a simple pricing. Hey, I just charge X amount. I'm not worried about my costs. Or we can actually go into, hey, what does it cost? What's your markups? And do all these automatically, as well as discounts and stuff of that nature. So we give you a lot of power to be able to decide your process, because ultimately we got to think, is it better to win the deal and lose money or to walk away, right? And how do you know if it's a good deal for your company? And this is where the business approval thing comes to play. There are times that we do take deals that we're really not making a lot of money because it's going to grow the business in the long run. And there are times we need to walk away from that. And one of the keys to successfully running any business, any operations, is having the right information to make the right choices. And that's one of the important aspects that Tacton CPQ, combined with KETIV's consulting ability and understanding of the manufacturing industry, is going to help drive your success. So let's talk real quick about winning business and making money, right? At its core, we have two opposing actions which can make or break your business. And these are tied to one another. One is winning the business, right? And two is profits and losses. You need to win it and you need to make money. Quickly producing an inaccurate quote was only going to lead to problems down the road. Okay, and we all know these. We've all felt these. And producing a quote which loses you money can be more costly than walking away, right? So again, this ties into that, having the right information to make the right choices, getting that information out to your customers and internally, quickly and accurately. Incompatible options. We have all felt this pain. So I'm going to use a couple of simple examples here. Does the bicycle come in pink? I want a pink bicycle. Just because we have the option, is it available for that configuration? So, I might have a men's bike and a women's bike. Now, I know some people will frown upon this in today's society, but if I have the ability to paint both pink and blue, and somebody wants a men's bike in pink, can I do it? Is there a special fixture that is required for holding the women's bike to paint it versus the men's bike? I don't know. These are real questions you have to consider. The other one I like to pick on is cars. My son works at the car dealer as a lot attendant, and he talks about this one all the time. People come in wanting a manual transmission. Well, most new cars, if you're getting a manual transmission, you can't get automatic windows. of all crazy things. Everything is standard right then. You gotta go manual. So how do you handle a situation where somebody wants a manual transmission and automatic windows? Is that even configurable? How does the improper configuration affect the sales process? Reviewing of quotes, company reputation to the prospect, reworking orders, and your delays in delivery. So again, using the car situation here, I go in, I buy a brand new car, manual transmission and automatic windows. It gets to the factory and they go, we can't do automatic windows on this. How does that affect the rest of my business with them? It's going to delay any delivery. I'm going to have to go through all the quoting stuff again. What do you feel about the salesperson in the organization that doesn't even know that these two can't compat, right? Let's talk a little bit about our price list. This is always one of my favorites because I've been on this side so many times, as many of you have. How many spreadsheets do you have for your price list? How many lookup statements, formulas are in those? And oh, by the way, who wrote all those? Are they even still with your company? Is it able to handle all your configuration options? How do you turn that spreadsheet into a quote or a BOM, right? I mean, these are common problems I know I faced when I ran shops, and I'm sure you're facing the same things. You know, I can't tell you the number of sheets I've had that have like so many tabs on the bottom, you can't even navigate through them. How efficient and effective is your quoting process with that? How many duplicate tabs do you possibly have even? So let's make the pricing list a lot easier. And then with that 800 spreadsheets you have, you also have version control issues, right? Who controls access to your configuration or pricing spreadsheet? How do you know everyone is even using the right one? I mean, I've been out there on selling product where all of a sudden I turn in my quote and I get told, hey, I'm using the wrong spreadsheet. What do you mean I'm using the wrong spreadsheet? This is the one I was given. Oh, no, we updated it. Okay. What happens? Do you have a policy in place to update this spreadsheet, this quote? Right? I mean, I know I'm not the only one who's built quotes to find out that's been wrong, right? Because I didn't get an email or something of that nature, right? So then let's talk now about reviewing and approvals. We are always going to have customers request non-standard things, and we have to be able to take that business in, right? Because we just don't want to walk away from an easy, non-standard or customizable thing. But how do we work that through, right? You know, specials or non-standard requests are part of any good vendor sales, etc. But getting the review of the quote through the office can be daunting. What engineers need to touch it? What business people need to touch it? Who on the floor? Maybe NC programming, maybe your painters, maybe your purchasing department. There's tons of people who may or may not have to look at this quote and go through it. How long does it take? Again, getting back to our very early statement, we're talking about getting that quote accurately and quickly to the customer. If you had to wait 2 or 3 weeks for a quote, how likely are you going to do business with them versus somebody who's giving you a quote in 2 or 3 days? So our business approval. Often our salespeople are given latitude to give a certain percentage discount. But what happens when they need to a little bit more of a discount to win that deal? How do you know if you're still making money off it or not? Who does it go through, right? Let's put that into a process. Make sure it's tracked. Make sure everyone is aware of what's going on. Engineering approval is the second half. And this is, hey, the customer wants the pink bike, but the model is not available. Who reviews it? Who prices it? And who approves it, right? Again, as simple as it sounds of changing colors, maybe that's more difficult than what is understood on the business side. But how do you get that through your engineering department quickly and effectively to get that quote back out? How do you track to make sure it doesn't get lost in the sauce, right? how many times have we lost or had to do lost requests or had to do a lot of follow-up on a simple request? So let's talk about some bonus stuff, right? One of the big things that CPQ is going to do for you is going to learn how your company, you're going to learn how your company really operates. We all have theoretical, and then we get out on the floor and we realize that some of the stuff doesn't work like we thought it does. When you decide to implement a modern CPQ, you'll be required to provide all the information we already discussed and more. So we're going to have to start diving into your business, and you're going to see and understand things that you may not have been aware of, which is only going to help you understand your business better. The reality is the majority of the companies don't understand their pricing or configurations. It would amaze you, and I know you, if you're thinking about this as I'm talking, how many configurations have you not thought out? Like, does X go with Y? A lot of these, you're going to have to understand these kind of calculations and configurations. You know, a CPQ consulting or implementation project is not only going to streamline your actual configuration and quoting and pricing, it's also going to help you streamline your business practices. Because when we're going in there and we're talking about your pricing or your configuration or your quoting, what we're going to have to do is understand your policies, your practices, your procedures. And we're going to discover those little areas that are overlooked in a day-to-day business. And we're going to help you identify those and help you come up with ways of improving those processes. KETIV is not just looking at, hey, here's your CPQ, or here's your CAD software, or your engineering software. What we're really trying to do is build your complete business to become more successful, right? And the CPQ is one major process of this. For example, you know, we all, if you're in the manufacturing world and you're making stuff, you're using, let's say, a CNC milling machine, you can figure out that that end mill is going to last, I'll make a simple number, 100 minutes. Every 100 minutes, you're going to have to change that end mill. Well, that's great. What does it cost you to change that end mill? We all know the price of the raw material. How long does it take? Who's doing that? How much time is spindle time are you losing? Are you doing a presetting operation where you're having the tools already set offline, or are you actually stopping the machine, putting the new tool in there, touching it off? Do you have a whole tool room cost? These are real questions that are going to affect your actual profit and loss business, how many parts you can do. Because again, hey, I say it's 100 minutes, I got to change it. Well, if that change takes me 2 minutes to do, how many product am I losing in that 2 minutes? How much runtime am I really losing to do that changeover? So we're gonna take a deep dive into that as we develop your CPQ process, or at least get you guys to think about that. So now we're going to do a little demo here. I'm going to pause for a second. Does anybody have any questions of me before I start the demonstration part? Okay, great. If we don't have any of that, I'm going to start on the demonstration of Tacton CPQ. Yeah. Okay, so I'm logged in here as a standard salesperson, and we're gonna basically build the configuration of a bicycle. We're a bicycle manufacturer, and we sell both to individuals and resellers. So on here, I've got you can see my general login as if I was logging in as for the first time that day. Here's my opportunities. I have a list of business approvals, anything that I am doing that has to go through a business approval. And then finally, I have a technical or engineering approval list. So I'm able to track all of my jobs that I have, or all of my quotes that are active, as well as if somebody else has to act on it. So really easy in the sales process. I'm going in and just taking a quick look. I have a list of my accounts. An opportunity is when somebody requests something, and the solution is that configured product. So we're going to go in an opportunity here. Sorry, my computer's running a little slow today. You can see I have one right here. I'm going to create a new opportunity. So I have a customer. This customer is asked for one quote or one thing. Now he's going to ask for something else. Here's his account. We're going to call this demo. I can have several price lists if I wanted to. I'm going to give it an end date of the end of this week. He told me, hey, I'm going to make my decision by the end of the date, so I can actually put that in there. I have the basic information here, and now we're going to create our solution. And we can have several solutions, several different products per opportunity. Opportunity would be like a quote. So we're going to add the product. Again, I just have a bicycle here. First thing it's going to do is it's going to ask me some basic questions, which we would consider needs. What needs do I have to fulfill? So the first one is usage. Is this an downhill or trail bike? Well, I'm going to go with a downhill bike. And then it's going to ask the height of the rider, because this is going to determine my frame size, right? So I'm going to put 250 centimeters. This is in centimeters, by the way. So I apologize. I had to do a European thing. And now we have our specifications. So, hey, what bike model do I want to use? Anything you see with the open lock means I haven't made a decision, or it hasn't been forced. So I can say, hey, I want to do ground cooled. You'll notice I only have one bike size available. That is due to the size of my height. And I'm going to show you another example here. We're going to do another configuration here in a minute. And I'll show you where this will change. You'll also notice right here, you'll see that this is redded out because I've made a change in here. It is now updating this side panel, which shows all my kind of options. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go with the XL driveline. I want a rock shock front fork. I want a shock rear end. I want this wheel. Now notice here in my brakes, I have front brakes and rear brakes. If I choose disc brakes, you'll notice the other one automatically went to disc, right? If I'm here and I lock in my V brake here, you'll notice now I get a configuration choice conflict. It's telling me right here that I cannot have a V brake style front and a disc style rear. They have to be the same type. And it's going to say, hey, do I want to accept this or reject this? I'm going to accept this. And now you'll notice they're both matching. So as we're going through the configuration, all of these rules that we've put in place are now coming to say, hey, you can do this, you can't do that. Again, and then we're going to say our 29-inch. We're going to go put some accessories in here. Do I want an extra light? Yeah, we're going to take the extra light. I want some race stickers. I want this. I don't want a water bottle. Now, when I hit view results, here is our pricing. As a salesperson, I could actually go in here and say, you know what? I don't know why I did this. So, weird number. Oops, my apologies. Oh, that's a filter. Yeah. So I'm going to save. There we go. And if I go back into my opportunity here, on my solution, excuse me, you're going to see I have net price, total cost, my margins are wrong. My apologies on this. I can go back in. Oh, I have a math problem. I apologize. And I can actually edit my pricing. Oh, that's what it is. There we go. I don't know why I came up with 100. My apologies. So now I have a 5% discount. And you'll see I actually have a good price now. So I can change my discount across the board, or I could say, hey, you know what? This item right here, I'm going to give you a 25% discount on this. I hit save. And you'll see that 25% here, everything else is 5. So I can go through and discount as I need to. I also have the ability with my business operations to put an alert to say if the total discount price is above a certain percentage or any certain discount is above a certain percentage, to have a business approval required. If I go back to opportunity, oops, we're going to create another solution. We're going to add a product here. And this time we're going to do a trail bike. And I'm going to say my height is 175 centimeters. You'll notice a couple things right off the bat. First off, I now have a choice of sizes, medium or large, because at 175 centimeters, I can fit into a medium size frame or a large size frame, but you'll notice there's no extra large. You'll also notice on the rear shock, I no longer have the option of having a rear shock on there. As I start clicking things, you'll notice I went to a large frame, and now I can no longer select a 27.5-inch front wheel because it doesn't go with the frame size. I'm just going to accept that. Make this discount go to a 0. Apologize about that. That was a calculation error I had early on. And there we go. So what you're seeing in the configuration is our ability to limit your selections and also adjust your pricing, markups, and etc. as you need to. That wraps up most of the presentation I have for today. To review it, let's talk about, we talked about some of the problems we face with the configuration, pricing, and quoting process, from loss opportunities, our profit and loss, our incompatible products, hard to manage price lists, version controls, reviews, and approvals. And we also talked a little bit about improving your business and operations. Here at KETIV, we're going to be continuing this CPQ process, this journey that we're on over the course of months and into the year. And I encourage everyone to attend these CPQ KVAs to learn more about it and get in touch with us so we can discuss about how we can improve your business and operations. If there aren't any other questions, I want to appreciate everyone's time. I know if you're like me, our time is valuable, and I appreciate you spending the past half hour with me. I look forward to working with everybody in the future, and feel free to reach out to KETIV at any time. We'll be happy to help you and answer any questions. Thank you once again. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. I look forward to talking with you all in the future. Goodbye.